Hello, everybody. Thanks again. Gabriel, as Gabriel mentioned, we're going to discuss Cryptoreality versus Cryptofuture, the path to mass adoption. So I hope that this panel is going to have a good mixture of skepticism and hope about the industry. Now, I want to remind everybody we only have 45 minutes. We have a really good panel, very impressive resumes, but I'm going to ask to keep introductions under 30 seconds, just so we can go right into the meat of the topic. So why don't we start with you, Vachara, who you are and why you're here.
All right. My name is Vachala, co-CEO of Six Network. So Six Network is like the joint venture between three companies. The first company is Yellow Mobile Group from Korea. And the second company is Ukbiu, which is like a joint venture again between Tencent from China and Ukbi, one of the biggest startups in Thailand. This is one of the fourth companies that Tencent directly invests in Southeast Asia. And another company is Cryptoreality. So we work for the creative industry. We have so many use cases, and we have more than 10 million active users in Thailand and in Korea.
Yeah. Great. I'm Nicholas Ray. I'm the GM of Gifto. Gifto is a mass consumer token. We have a real user base, actual users using Gifto every day in UpLive. UpLive is a global live streaming platform with 60 million users. You can send virtual gifts denominated in Gifto. So today, I hope to be able to convince some of the skeptics out there that mainstream adoption is actually starting to happen. William Gibson has a great quote that the future is here, it's just not evenly distributed, pun intended, and I'd like to see what you guys think about that as well.
Fantastic. Mitch.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mitch Liu. I'm the founder and CEO of Sliver TV, which is a parent company to Theta Labs. So Theta is a decentralized video delivery network. Sliver TV started out 2 years ago in the esports streaming space, so competing with the likes of Twitch. Sliver today has about 7 million active users, and Theta is now partnered with a number of media and entertainment companies, particularly in Korea, companies like CJ, a large conglomerate in the media and entertainment industry, as well as MBN, which is a sort of the New York Times of Korea.
Hey everybody, my name is Luke Wagman. I'm the chief evangelist of CoinMarketCap.com and the world's leading cryptocurrency information resource.
Fantastic. All right, so we're going to try to keep an extra 5 to 10 minutes at the end to ask any questions. So if you think of anything while we're doing this panel, please go ahead and say that for the end. And to our panelists, don't be afraid to jump in at any time if you disagree. We're not afraid from controversy. We're speculating about the future, so share your ideas openly. Luke, I want to get things started with you.
Sure.
In the synopsis of this, we discussed the fact that cryptocurrency is just 10 years old. We know Bitcoin just celebrated its 10th birthday. Mm-hmm. You're very passionate about the potential of this space. So where do you think we are right now in comparison to where this space could be, and is it living up to its potential?
Sure. So I think, reaching mainstream adoption, this reality where it's just become a part of our daily lives, I think we're still kind of a ways away from that. But I'm optimistic that we will get there. I think that it's totally possible that we will reach this reality where cryptocurrency just kind of is a part of our daily lives, right? Similar to how we have this emergence of a smartphone generation where kids are growing up. You can see YouTube videos of kids interacting with the glass tops on their coffee tables or the windows in their living rooms, trying to interact with the world around them simply because that's all they've ever known. And I think that we will reach this with cryptocurrency. It's just going to take some time. But I think to reach this reality, there's two key sides here. There's the distribution, awareness, evangelism, education aspect. And then there's also the other side, which is continuing to build meaningful products with this technology that people want and need to use. And I say that they need to work together because think about when Bitcoin first achieved meaningful value, right? It wasn't because they were suddenly sold, it wasn't because millions of people were suddenly sold on the virtues of decentralization or the underlying ethos of our entire ecosystem. It was because they realized they needed to buy cryptocurrency to exchange and commerce with one another, to do something that they weren't yet able to do, which was buy drugs on the internet. So fast forward to now, several use cases have emerged, and obviously the use of cryptocurrency for illicit acts is definitely decreased. But we've seen several use cases emerge out of capital controls in South Korea, China, hyperinflation, demonetization in India, and we've definitely captivated mainstream interest. Although I think some of that continues to be dominated by price. But I think that we're in a really unique position now where it's finding that Netscape browser. If you want to compare it to like the early stages of the internet, it's finding that mosaic moment, that mosaic Netscape browser that shows everybody like, wow, we really need to use this technology to do X, Y, Z. And I don't think we've reached that point yet.
Vachar, I want to take it to you. You have a unique perspective. You're the president of the Thai Startup Association, so you have a lot of experience in tech outside of cryptocurrency. Where do you think the space is compared to other developments in technology that you've seen?
Yeah, I think today it's just like we are more realized. Because outside of the cryptocurrency world, before we have to raise funding, seed funding, Series A funding, and then just the valuation is based on what the revenue is coming up, what you have been done in the market. But the ICO world is coming up. It's just like if you have the white paper, black paper, that what he said, and then you're just raising money, right? But today, when I talk to the people this morning, people is more calm. It's just like they don't ask about when pump or which coin is going to be to the moon anymore. But they ask about what is the adoption, what is the use case, and what are you developing. I think that is a good part, and it's become more realistic in the world. Yeah.
Excellent. So, Mitch, I want to take this to you. The discussion is what use cases are actually going to take us to mass adoption. Now, you have a background in gaming. I'm a little biased here as a gamer myself, but I think it's a particular niche that doesn't get enough attention. But we only have to look at the success of games like World of Warcraft, Pokemon Go, Minecraft to see that this can be a path to mass adoption. So what do you think is going to be the use case, whether it's gaming or something else, that really starts reaching the masses?
Yeah, let's talk about mass adoption, right? If you think about mobile gaming, for example, right? I mean, if you talk to your mom today, and you never thought that she never labeled herself as a gamer, but the fact that she plays Candy Crush, and hundreds of millions of people play Candy Crush or Crush Soda, whatever it's called now. Everyone's a gamer without knowing it, and that wasn't the case. What, 7 years ago, 8 years ago? So when I started my first gaming company back in 2010, we innovated in the iPhone and the Android, developing sort of the first resource management games. Remember Zynga and Playdom on the Facebook platform? They had the farming games and the aquarium games, right? So the evolution of gaming has really redefined the term of what a gamer is. I mean, certainly if you look at the hardcore gamers, particularly say on the PC platform, what all the tournaments and the esports and the prize pools and the brand advertising going towards League of Legends, Fortnite, right, which is a big game today. That's basically became more popular than PUBG, right, which is sort of when the original of that type. And Counter-Strike, League of Legends, been around for what, maybe over 10 years now. And so, my view is that gaming is super exciting as a starting point for adoption. Sliver TV, we've been in the esports streaming space, which is the streaming of gaming content, right? Whether you have someone at home streaming to a mass audience, or whether you have these professional tournaments in these big stadiums with hundreds or tens of thousands of people. We think that gaming is exciting. Obviously, personally, from industry adoption, I'm excited. Theta is operating within the video industry. So in the media entertainment space, I think broadcasting companies, content creators, anyone that's, could be an individual streamer as a gamer, or could be, a big broadcaster, like SBS, for instance, in Korea, right? So you have the wide range of, so those two industries are particularly exciting to me in terms of mass adoption for crypto.
Nick, I want to take it to you as far as other use cases that we might be sleeping on as an industry that could lead us to mass adoption.
Yeah, so one of the things that we see, so we have a bunch of teams in Asia, and we see a tremendous amount of very practical innovation happening on messaging platforms. So if you look at Line, Kakao, Telegram, and Kik, they've made some very interesting moves to enter the crypto space through investments, partnerships, developer programs, issuance of tokens. In particular, Line and Kakao, they have payment providers, they have exchanges. So a lot of the pieces of the infrastructure are coming in place. And I think that the financial side of crypto oftentimes doesn't really notice these things. So like Telegram releasing their KYC, Telegram Passport, that kind of flew under the radar, but it's like a huge signal to the world, I think, that these messaging platforms see very practical applications for cryptocurrencies in terms of microtransactions, incentive mechanisms, staking, these social mechanics that actually develop more engaging communities. And yeah, I think we're going to see in this next year a lot of really interesting developments there that'll start making new headlines for mass adoption.
Can you speculate as to why these things may have flown under the radar or don't get as much attention as some other aspects?
Sure. In general, there's a lot of innovation in social games and social products out of Asia that I think just doesn't really translate well to Western audiences. And I think they make a lot of sense in Chinese news media or in Korea or in Southeast Asia, but it takes time, sometimes years. So like WeChat took a long time for that experience to start translating over to some Western products. So one of the things that I think we're seeing is just another wave of innovation that's going to take time to make it over.
Can I just ask a question? Touching back on the gaming subject, it's my view that I think non-fungible tokens could be a catalyst for the adoption of crypto in a way that we haven't seen before. I think if users are able, if there's like the emergence of some Pokemon Go-like game where people are able to exchange with one another the items that they find in the game, have you given a thought to any like NFTs and how that could kind of bring more or be more of a catalyst for adoption in the gaming space? Or
Yeah, I think so, but I think there's some challenges to it as well. If you think about most free-to-play games today, you have this concept of an engagement currency, right, which is native to within the game and within that the walls of the game, and they're usually free, right? It's for engagement, and then you have the premium currency, which is the currency you purchase, right? And that's sort of what's built this multi-billion-dollar mobile gaming industry. So if you introduce, say, a third non-fungible token, and so it becomes a challenge in trying to understand, well, how do you balance this economy for one?
Sure.
We recently announced a partnership with Tencent, which is probably the first time that Tencent has ever aligned itself with any blockchain project. But we're coming much more from the entertainment side of things, right? The streaming side of Ring of Elysium, which is their new title that's looking to compete with Fortnite and PUBG. And so in that particular case, Theta tokens is actually used as a utility token for users to earn on the platform, which is free to earn. And in exchange, they can get in-game items with the Theta token. So it's completely separate from the currency that they have within the game itself.
Yeah, I just think there's huge potential there to create these, interoperable economies between games that I hope to see in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll take time.
Vachara, what about you? What use case do you think is the hinge point towards mass adoption?
Yeah, the use case, just like they are replacing the layer technology, right? Just like, for example, like for the financial service. Mostly, for example, it's in UPU company. We have more than 5 million money that's transferring in and out a month. But 1 million have to go to the platform like Apple Store, Google's, and the other like telco company. Those kind of things just like it's not very effective. So the use case is just like if you can fix that, if you can connect with the bank, if you can connect with the OTC service, you can transfer the money with the very better transaction stuff. I think that would be better. And the game is another use case that we've seen a lot of Chinese companies that's doing the game over the blockchain, even the EOS platform. But that's kind of gamification that we have to adopt on the application. For us, before we built the wallet, the 6 wallet, which is really geeky, like you have to keep the secret key and you have to register on that. And we launched for a while, and then we figured it out that people, it's not that easy to use. Like your mom cannot do that. Even we have like early adopter, just only inventor that start doing that, early adopter that doing that, but early massive and late massive, we have to wait for a while. We cannot let them, we cannot wait until they adopt that, but we have to make something that's better for them. that's seamlessly, really integrated, seamless, and that they don't think about it. This is the blockchain technology behind.
Yeah.
Right? Because even we use the internet right now, we don't talk about TCP/IP, and blockchain right now is just like the TCP/IP, and that's why we have the blockchain conference, but we don't have TCP/IP conference because everything is already adopted and very seamless on that side.
Right. So yeah, when we look at the internet, we didn't really ask people to adopt it. It was about creating technologies that became so essential to people's lives that they couldn't help but use it without making a conscious decision. I want to get involved in cryptocurrency. All right. So there's another point in the synopsis that talks about where will mass adoption happen first, and I had a little bit of a gotcha question for Andy, the founder of Gifto, but we have the general manager of Gifto here that's going to be representing him. So this is a quote from a recent blog post when you guys were announcing your move into Taiwan. So again, this is from Andy, and he said, quote, "In the US, things are highly regulated and few companies are willing to tackle blockchain and crypto projects. Europe is behind the market as a whole. Japan is heavily regulated. In China, crypto is completely banned. And in Korea, there's volume, but projects aren't able to issue tokens. Singapore possesses a great regulatory environment, but it's a very small market."
All true statements. Right? All true statements.
So you guys have a strong opinion.
No gotcha so far.
No gotcha so far, but then I want to give you a chance to kickstart this question. We see all these challenges in all these different jurisdictions.
Yeah.
Where do you see the revolution happening first, or the mass adoption happening first?
So certainly, Taiwan is a very, very interesting market. It looks like Thailand is also a very interesting place based on a lot of the conversations I'm having today. But Taiwan in particular is very interesting, and why we have several partnerships there, including with an accelerator and an exchange. Plain and simple, ICOs are legal. It's absolutely legal to issue tokens, and there's a lot of very promising regulatory activity happening right now. In terms of being a foundation and a home base for blockchain technology, you have many Fortune 500 software and technology companies have substantial presence there. So you've got lots of engineers, lots of product people, all kind of transitioning towards this industry and figuring out how to make a big splash. And third, and not to be forgotten, is the cultural and linguistic ties to mainland China and Taiwan's ability to navigate Southeast Asia as well. So in terms of being on the forefront there, yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity in Taiwan.
Mitch, you're at the heart of it in Silicon Valley. I know the US has a complicated regulatory environment. How do you see this topic?
Yeah, so in our particular case, our parent company, Sliver TV, we're a Delaware C Corp. So we've always been a US company, and we raised 17 million in equity financing the traditional way, right? Silicon Valley investors, corporate investors like Samsung, Sony, et cetera. And then we did a token sale for Theta, which is our project, which is also a Delaware C Corp. So we are very US-based. Look, I think there's regulatory challenges everywhere. But from the technology standpoint, we've seen a lot of success and a lot of traction within the Korean market. Yes, ICOs is not legal in Korea, but if you have the technology and the potential to partner with, right? So Samsung VR
Korea is changing really fast as well. So,
right, the application technology or the partnership. I mean, we found Korean companies to be really wide open, open arms in embracing blockchain as decentralized technology and looking at it really, what will take it, in the next 3 to 5 years, right? We recently formed a partnership with KAIST University, which is sort of the MIT of Korea, and we're innovating and launching the first blockchain course there. So we really see that market as really a great seeding point. And Korea has traditionally been very early adopters, all sorts of technologies. And before we had smartphones in the US, right, everybody had one already in Korea. Yeah.
Vajra, I know you're involved with Thailand 4.0, a vision to bring Thailand into a more technology-based economy. What role do you think Thailand can play in the future of cryptocurrency?
Oh, wow. All right. So I think because Thailand started very well so on the regulations, because right now they regulate on all of the cryptocurrency. If you are doing ICO, you can regulate it, exchange that regulated in Thailand right now. So that is the very well start for Thai market. And also, I think the other thing is if you look into back previous question about the revolution in the country behind. So if you're looking in like Korea and Japan, they are very well infrastructure behind. And when they go to Korea and they said, okay, we're going to make the payment system that's fast and cheap. And they said, this is already fast and cheap already. If you make something, it's just a few gap behind on the new technology is coming up. But in Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, like Thailand, like Vietnam, the infrastructure is not that well behind. Even the people doesn't have that much credit card. They're not tapping into the financial service yet. So they still use mobile phone. When they feel the money, they put on the phone because they don't have credit card. They don't have the bank account, even don't have the bank account. So this kind of leapfrog technology that is coming up, if the regulation is ready and it can use and legally right, so it can leapfrog from the previous technology to the new technology. Just like people using the PC to mobile, but the country like Indonesia, like Thailand, they just start on mobile first.
Luke,
Yeah.
you're at CoinMarketCap.
Sure,
You're connected to every project.
Sure, I think that the viral use case that really kind of helps to increase the rate of adoption is totally going to depend on geography. That being said, I think that there are a few things that could catalyze the rate of mainstream adoption at a rate that we haven't seen before. And I think that from my perspective, I'm seeing is that there's a lot of private tech companies who have the resources and capacity to kind of see themselves as arbiters in the space for who's successful. They can find the blockchain projects that work and have real value, and also show the world that they work by adopting those protocols. And I think that they would have great upside to do so because they'd likely have to own the coins and tokens of those protocols. So I mean, just think about tech companies who have like highly advanced content delivery systems, like in the adult film industry or in the video game industry. There's room there for them to adopt these protocols and show that they work. I hope to see more of that.
So I do have a follow-up there.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us are in this industry. We have a vision about the blockchain space and the cryptocurrency space being almost borderless in its potential. So we're now 10 years into the space, and we're talking about how the true path to mass adoption is going to be dependent on geography and jurisdictions. So is the vision of a borderless cryptocurrency future gone?
Sorry.
Like, are we still going to be always dependent on individual jurisdictions, or is this space going to be able to develop truly globally?
I see it developing truly globally. I mean, I think what we haven't done a good job of doing so far yet is really reaching out to those people who can benefit the most from blockchain technology, getting them into our ecosystem, and getting them to build projects that, out of their experiences, that solve their problems. The people that have very limited access to financial resources. I think we need to be doing more to rope in those people and get them to build projects with that help the prosperity of their people.
All right.
So I have a question. You guys you're a data company. You're also arguably a content company. You see a ton of data all the time about mostly market-oriented, but you also have, I assume, data tied to mass adoption and usage, or you could deduce as much. Do you see any App Annie of crypto adoption tools or analytics coming out in the near future? Potentially with CoinMarketCap name next to it, but maybe not.
Totally. So without revealing too much, there's a bunch we're kicking the can around internally to figure out how we can present new data insights that people find valuable. So I think tracking movements from addresses to on-chain, off-chain activity, I think could be valuable. Being proactive about how we can provide information on security tokens, NFTs, dApps, et cetera. It's definitely in talks, and I think that you can expect to see some exciting updates from our side, Q1, Q2, on that front for sure.
Cool.
I have an extra question for you. Mitch, do you see mass adoption more as, have we reached mass adoption when the industry has disrupted particular industries, or have we reached mass adoption when blockchain is properly integrated into the traditional tech and financial world? Or what does exactly mass adoption mean? Because this is a spectrum, right?
That's a good question. When something reaches mass adoption, right? When it reaches 51%. I think the best way is probably by looking at past examples of mass adoption. At which point did mobile devices reach mass adoption, right? At which point did smartphones get there, or gaming for that matter? And so I think looking back, it's easy to see that, I don't know, pick a year, 2012, 2013 was probably the year that Apple had the biggest year, I think, or somewhere in between there, in terms of Android and the iPhone, in terms of smartphone penetration, right, within the marketplace. While in the middle of it, it's actually very difficult to know when you've reached a mass adoption. But I think from our perspective, it's about early adoption, really, right? Because this is the internet in 1997, right? Let's not kid ourselves, right? I mean, blockchain technology is very early. We need to see, we're seeing the first builds of the Amazon website. For those of you who have seen that, it's actually pretty incredible, right? Where Bezos basically put up that one very simple page, all text that was featuring a particular book every single day, right? Remember that? I think we're definitely at that stage. So anyway, mass adoption, I think, will come, and I think it will be driven by specific industries. And I think that gaming is probably one of them that we're very excited about. Media and a few others, and fintech for sure.
I think you guys kind of said it, but like in different ways. It's when grandparents are using it.
Yeah, right.
They don't realize it, right? And so like at Zynga, we were always trying to get grandparents to be able to use our games. You guys are doing that as well.
Yeah, we definitely saw that. I mean, if you think about, well, back then Facebook, right? I mean, Facebook had a lot of
like the
older users,
of scale, right?
And your mom, your grandma, whoever were playing the fish aquarium games, and they're breeding fish because they didn't think of it necessarily as a game, but it's something as a form of entertainment, right? And entertainment, is a huge driver of all of our lives, right? On a day-to-day basis, and we don't even think about it as something that we do is gaming. And so, but in order to get there, again, it's just your point earlier. You can't be worried about these, private keys and digital wallets and addresses and taking tokens from here to here, which takes 6 steps and and all that stuff. But it needs be as simple as someone hits a particular website or opens a particular app, and they're earning tokens. Those tokens just happens to be, crypto tokens, right, on a blockchain. But the user doesn't necessarily have to know that behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, it's like social login, not keys, right? And instead of Etherscan being a bunch of hashes, it's like all these little worlds that you can peer into and see what's there. These kinds of fun experiences versus very geeky ones.
Yep.
Well, at the end of the day, we really can't compare right now from a user perspective. Using something like PayPal is so much simpler than almost every currency on the market. So I guess another question would be, seeing as though the technology exists and we already have other examples from other industries, why is the user experience so poor in our space so far? That can go for anyone.
I think user experience to adopt that, we like a startup working in that way. So we have so many methods like 2D A/B split test, like hook gamification, and adopted user experience along the way to bring the user in. And I think at this time we are forced to create that kind of user experience and forced to work on that. That's very much because since you see that the crypto price is going down a lot, and so many ICO projects average ticket size that they left is about like 10,000 Ethereum or 30,000 Ethereum. That's kind of the thing. Think about that. If the prices go down and they didn't cash out, so right now then we have like only 1 million or 2 million left in the pocket. That's just very low if the team is based in Japan or some country that the living the hiring fee is very high. So what they have to do, they have to making money. To get money from the transaction fee, if you have like $5,000 a month, transaction fee is still very low. It cannot feed the team. So they have to think about that, like how they're gonna making money, how they're gonna find the money to feed the team, and how they're gonna survive another 3 years until the very mass adoption that's coming up, and the product is really launched and get many users on the market. I think this is a good time, and that is what I say, that this is really good that not nobody to talk about when Palm, when Moon again, just deliver the products, making money. I think that is the key on the mass adoption, and we forced to do that.
So the last point in the synopsis asks, when will institutions jump on board, and how will the markets and consumers react. So I want to focus specifically on the idea of when will the institutions jump on board. I think we've been hearing for a while that it's right around the country, right around the corner. So again, for anybody, when will we see true institutional commitment to the cryptocurrency space?
I think we can start to expect to see that more when we have smaller companies successfully profiting off of adopting this technology, right? When that's going to happen, I mean, I think it already is happening, right? I think that there already is a lot of eyes on us, and there's a lot of interest in our industry right now, and kind of how to employ this technology to increase user experience, make more money, right?
No, I know. We're talking about predicting the future here.
Yeah.
I don't expect anybody to be right. Mitch, do you have an idea about?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a private sector standpoint, I mean, if you look at in our particular case, we, the traditional venture capital firms that invested in our company, we were their first token sale participant, right? We did a private token sale, and so we had to go through all the steps of working with them in how do you even hold these tokens, right? And how does this go on, in the back office accounting standpoint, right? So the LPs understand, what the value of this is and how do you value it. But we're beginning to already see that even private equity firms, the later stage funds, are beginning to invest and allocate more funds towards token projects. So that's definitely starting from that end of things.
So we're getting closer to 10 minutes left. I do want to leave some time for audience questions, so you can start getting your questions ready. But as we approach that time, I want to leave it open for any points that anybody on the panel feels we haven't had a chance to cover, or...
Sure, I have something. I'm curious to know what you guys are thinking about with respect to how we can be leveraging our brands in crypto to, I guess, partner with other companies outside of our immediate ecosystem to kind of, show people that crypto is just another part of life, right? I think that there's a lot of room that we can be doing to partner with, streetwear brands or brands in entertainment or video games to kind of show that crypto is not just a foreign niche aspect of life. It's its own ecosystem, sure, but drawing connections to other ecosystems, I think, can go a long way to doing that. And I just was curious to know if you guys are thinking about ways you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still fairly early days, and you have sort of the early adopters, the visionaries, if you will. As part of Sliver, we partner with G Fuel. They're esports, their energy drink, sort of similar to Monster Energy, but they're up and coming, and they're sold primarily online, so they have no physical retail yet. And so in this particular case, the CEO is very forward-thinking, is early investor in Bitcoin, right? And super excited about the technology. So we kind of, put together a marketing program where users could earn Theta tokens on the Sliver side, and in turn exchange that and actually get a discount towards their G Fuel purchase, right? Or to actually getting a free tub of G Fuel. And so almost from an e-commerce standpoint, but it's very centered around this particular esports demographic and gaming, which, just happens that primarily 15 to 25, 30-year-old males who are watching and playing these types of games, and of course early adopters of cryptocurrency as well.
Yeah.
So they understand the value.
Yeah, those associations I think are really important to draw. I mean, I think it immediately makes sense to partner with esports brands. I think streetwear could be interesting. I think there could be a lot of cool things done there. Think about companies like G-Shock or Supreme or other streetwear brands that kind of partner with brands outside of their immediate ecosystem. I think there have been some really cool projects. Something that we're thinking actively about is how we can leverage our brand to do some more of that without dropping too much detail, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little tropey, but going back to the example of the internet, I think the quote-unquote mass adoption didn't really come when a bunch of internet companies succeeded, but when internet became integral to operation for every business, right?
Totally.
So we are getting closer. I want to give a chance for the audience to ask some questions, please, for anybody on the panel, if anybody has any questions. We have a question right over there. I think you could walk up to this mic, probably. That works. So for anybody that didn't hear the question again was, if we are in a bubble in the cryptocurrency space, is part of the path to mass adoption a more direct link to more traditional media sources? That was, go ahead.
I think that's an amplifier. I think media can't solve the problem that the blockchain community and the crypto community has right now. I do believe that mass adoption is going to come from social products like we've developed UpLive, like some of you guys here are using and developing, and it's all about delivering an exceptional, delightful, fun, engaging experience that goes social, goes viral, and explodes. And users don't know that that's a cryptocurrency, that twinkling fun thing that they're trading, but it turns out that it is. And developers are benefiting from the fact that they're using a shared digital commons. So I think it's more about the experience and delivering on that, and then media will amplify.
Yeah, I think that traditional media, will cover. I mean, as soon as Netflix works with us, everybody will know about it, right? And it will be covered on USA Today, right? But yeah, it's an after effect.
Yeah, but also I would add that just like in this situation of the market, even you throw out like a couple of media outside. The good news doesn't affect much on the news right now. I think in this market situation, but the bad news is affect in good way or bad way. But by the way, I think the real happen is have to launch the application, launch the draft, the user impact. That would help more.
Yeah. I would also like to add on there that I think an argument can be made that there's already been a fractionalization of the media, and the mainstream media itself is maybe not as influential as it used to be. And what we see is a series of echo chambers in a lot of different sectors.
Sure.
Any other audience questions, please? None so far? Nick, I know you had a question for Mitch, so I want to give you an opportunity.
Oh yeah, I was curious about, so you worked on, or founded Tapjoy?
I did.
Yeah. So what are some of the lessons you have from incentivizing users to do things, and how that applies to crypto?
Sure. Just for the audience, people that don't know what Tapjoy is, because it's not a mainstream media brand, right? So Tapjoy is a mobile advertising company. So we started first in the Facebook platform back in 2007-8, and then became a mobile advertiser. So if you play video games, mobile games, and you see a video ad that's 10, 15 seconds long, and you earn some coins after that, that's the concept of micro incentives, if you will. It's for the user's attention. Watching that particular video ad, you get whatever 10 coins in Candy Crush or whatever game you're playing. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those learnings that we had from back then are extremely relevant to the crypto space, particularly where tokens is part of that incentive in the specific stakeholders, right, in the ecosystem. And that's super important because that's the part that you can get, going back to mass adoption, where you can get everyone involved, right? In our particular case at Theta, users earn these tokens by sharing their excess bandwidth and excess resources.
You mean they don't have to put a picture of their passport? And
exactly, right? Going through all the
wow,
KYC in order to earn those 2 tokens, those 20 cents worth,
what a
right?
technological advancement.
Right, exactly. And that's also the path towards mass adoption, is a path towards that user experience and making it super seamless, right? I mean, the fact that somebody can watch a video, earn those coins, and then show up in the game, it's completely seamless, right? So if we can move towards that model, right, for the crypto token space that we're in, that's where the real opportunity is.
So we're talking about, the idea was brought up about can we reach mass adoption through media, reaching out to people. Now you guys are talking about incentivizing the user, and you've also discussed the idea of making the user experience simple. So as we are wrapping up here, is there a use case that only crypto will be able to provide, and that both the financial and traditional technology world are simply not suited to give the consumer?
So I think staking is one. We've experimented pretty successfully with staking in our dApps, and the ability to store some value and then withdraw it frictionless without any commission or something like that to represent your social influence in a social context. That's something that's new to social products. And while that may sound like a bunch of buzzwords, there's going to be a whole world of fun new things that come out of that in gaming and in other social products. So staking is pretty interesting, and you can't really do that with fiat because, okay, sure, you can buy some amount and sit it there, but then you can't get it back that easily unless there's like an integration for every single one of the different fiat channels that user base may use. And then microtransactions, certainly, like if you look at like the minimum purchase size and fees and all that stuff, you can't do microtransactions easily.
Luke, I know you're very passionate about this space. Can you think of any specific use cases that are only going to be from crypto?
Yeah, I mean, so like, what blockchain technology affords is this radical disintermediation, right? So removing the middleman, right? So I think it'll be really interesting to see the applications that emerge out of that. I think that yeah.
I think the other part is about the all crypto can do is about the intangible asset. Because intangible, that's intangible, so you cannot define that. But if you can store some kind of intangible assets into the cryptocurrency, and that you can have the value on that, and you can trade on the intangible asset. But how to recognize that intangible assets into the tangible assets, like what he said about the social influencer, that is intangible. But if you can store that they have the measurement part on that part, and you can do the commerce on the tangible asset that you have, I think that's another way that you can do.
Excellent. So as we're, again, getting close to wrap up, I want to give another opportunity if we have any more audience questions. No? Any closing remarks?
There's one question in the back.
Yes. I didn't see you. Please.
Silly Buggers, which is rugby, touch rugby. I'm from Vancouver, but live in Vietnam. My company's a startup, but I've got a bit of a problem. I just got back from San Francisco to open up a U.S. bank account because I'm a nonprofit and I need to use that U.S. bank account. I don't know if I'm successful. A guy at Citibank submitted all the forms. I'd rather just have a Bitcoin solution and also take fiat and credit cards. But my larger question at this point in time is, what are we going to do with Fedcoin? I just don't want the government to take over the Bitcoin space. And I invite your comments on that.
Wow.
I mean, I think we will see governments kind of leverage distributed ledger money, e-money, let's call it. But I think keeping in mind that it's important to realize that it's not really decentralized currency. It's like and when you remove that, when you have everything KYC to your identity, every transaction is linked to someone else, that totally removes the ability to participate in the gray economies, which I think people definitely want to be able to continue to interact in. And think about paying your lawn guy or your babysitter in cash. You want some degree, it's not uncommon to want some degree of financial privacy in your transactions. And so I think that if we were to move in that direction, it might even catalyze the adoption of cryptocurrency as we know it at a faster rate, because people want to be able to transact with one another and not have it tied to their identity, right? So I think that's it shouldn't be so much of a worry.
Anyone else want to tackle that question? All right, so I think that's going to do it. That's going to be mass adoption, Cryptoreality versus Cryptofuture. Thank you all very much for being here.